The NFL playoff field is set, and it feels like this is the most open postseason we've had in a long time. Trista, you agree with that?
Yeah, man, I have no clue who's going to be in this Super Bowl. There's a bunch of different permutations that you can look at and say, like, okay, well, if this happens, then this changes the whole entire board. There's just like a lot of wide open ways that these teams can play one another and beat one another. We've already seen divisional rivalries that we're getting in the first round and maybe even in the second round. It's just kind of insane.
It's insane, and especially the AFC, where last year, maybe you can make the case for another team, but it was probably going to be like the Chiefs, the Bills, or the Ravens last year in the AFC. I think you can make the case, Trista, for there to be as many as 5 teams in the AFC that could potentially win the conference and go to the Super Bowl, and the NFC is wide open as well. Like last year in the NFC, it was probably going to be the Eagles or the Lions. Now you can say there's way more teams that could potentially make it.
Those 5, is that everybody but Pittsburgh, pretty much?
And I would say that the Chargers also can't make it, which doesn't mean they can't beat the Patriots in their opening game. But I think with the offensive line being in the shape it's in, I don't think the Chargers can go on a run. But like a way to think about this is we're about to have an AFC playoffs, Trista, without Patrick Mahomes, without Lamar Jackson, and without Joe Burrow. How can this not be the most open postseason in recent memory if that's the case?
Yeah, and on top of that, you've got Josh Allen dealing with a foot injury. You've got Trevor Lawrence going on a last end of the season run, playing awesome, like the way that we've been hoping. We have so many question marks about Houston's offense, right? And this is going to be big balls moment for Denver. Who are you? What do we actually have? Are you for real or are you not?
And the number 1 seeds, even if they don't always make it to the Super Bowl, you can feel pretty good about the number 1 seeds going into the playoffs. And not that we don't feel good about the Broncos or the Seahawks, but it's Bo Nix at quarterback for Denver, and it's Sam Darnold at quarterback for Seattle. So, Trista, I would even say the 1 seeds feel way more, and I know Detroit lost last year as the 1 seed to Washington in the first game, but it feels like there's never been a more vulnerable set of 1 seeds than we have this year.
And how pissed are you if you're Seattle? And you're like, am I about to have to see LA once again? I really don't want to see them until the NFC title game.
And it might be the second round that the Rams see the Seahawks, and I know who I will like if we get to that game. So we've established this is maybe the most wide-open postseason in recent memory in the National Football League. Let's hone in the single most important matchup, wildcard weekend for each conference. Let's start with the AFC. What do you got?
It's got to be Buffalo and Jacksonville, because if Buffalo ends up looking good and they come out unscathed, and we'll know a lot about how injured Josh Allen is, then it feels like it's wide open for them to win the AFC. They end up not playing Denver until the AFC title game, and they end up most likely playing a Patriots team that they split up against, and it's a very familiar opponent as a divisional rival. If I'm Buffalo, I'm pretty stoked at the board.
Trista, no excuse for the Buffalo Bills to not make the Super Bowl. No excuse. No Mahomes, no Lamar, no Joe Burrow. Josh Allen's the best quarterback left standing. If Buffalo loses to Jacksonville this weekend, and I think Buffalo will win, but if Buffalo loses to Jacksonville, they have to make some type of big organizational change. You cannot have it this year. This would be like playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and you don't have to beat Mike Tyson at the end of the game. Like, the final boss isn't there. Like, Mahomes isn't here. I think if the Bills win and beat Jacksonville, maybe they see Denver divisional weekend, maybe it's championship Sunday. I think the Bills are favored in all of these games moving forward. We could get cute and say it's one of the other games, but really, Bills-Jaguars is the most important one in the AFC.
And what I would say is that end of the game between the Steelers and the Ravens would have been the only excuse that Buffalo could have had, is that if the Ravens would have won that game and you would have faced them in the AFC title game, and they're starting to ascend, then you're like, okay, well, Lamar is healthy and Derrick Henry's the guy. But no, now you've got Pittsburgh there. There is no excuse.
They lost to the Texans in the regular season, but you got to beat them if they play in the playoffs. You got to beat the Patriots in Drake May's first postseason. Got to beat the Broncos like they did last year in the playoffs. No excuse for the Bills not to get to Super Bowl 60. What about the NFC, most important matchup this weekend?
To me, it's Niners-Eagles, because you won't have to see Seattle, best defense I think right now in the league, and they're peaking, until the title game. And listen, if you beat the Eagles, Niners, you're most likely going up against the Bears team that you just beat. in a big high-scoring game. And yeah, there's going to be some weather there, but I am not afraid of the Bears if I'm the Niners, especially considering how bad their defense is. You have to go to the NFC title game, whoever wins that 3-6 matchup, in my opinion.
Ready for me to disrespect some teams in the NFC?
Yes.
I knew you would be.
Yes.
The two teams that I like most in the NFC are the Eagles and the Rams. And I think the Rams are going to take care of business and beat the Panthers. I think the Eagles are almost certainly, I'm not trying to disrespect the Niners, I think the Eagles are way better, and San Francisco is very injured.
Yes.
So I think the Eagles are going to beat the Niners, and I think the Rams will beat the Panthers. I think the biggest matchup is actually Packers-Bears. And the Bears are the 2 seed, Green Bay's the 7. I don't think, and I like the Bears a lot moving forward, right now it feels like they're at least a year early as far as being a legitimate Super Bowl contender. You can make the case, and I don't think the Packers are great shakes. They may not even beat Chicago. But if the Packers do beat the Bears at Soldier Field on Saturday night, you can make a case that Jordan Love can get hot and that Green Bay could be the team that disrupts and upends the apple cart here and screws up my visions of an Eagles-Rams NFC Championship game in Philadelphia. If I like the Eagles to win the NFC, or you like any team to win the NFC, my suggestion would be root for the Bears to beat the Packers on Saturday night. I actually think going to Chicago would be easier to win than it is having Green Bay come to your place potentially, Trysta, if the Packers get on a roll.
Yeah, and I agree about the Packers. You would rather see a Caleb Williams team that really is in Ben Johnson's first year as head coach. You're fully healthy. You sat everybody up in Week 18, and now you're sort of figuring things out at the right time. So, yeah, I agree. That's a big matchup. But to me, it's the 3-6, Nick.